The commanders, I think that they are in a really weird spot. They're not weak whatsoever, but they'll only get so far strength wise. And this applies to, I guess, specific individuals. There are some out there that are outliers, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But I believe that a lot of people in the One Piece community overrate them a bit, but at the same time, they don't in terms of strength. Specifically, the part I am talking about was during Marineford. This is where a lot of people talked about commanders being stronger than admirals, or it takes two admirals to defeat one commander. I seen some wild stuff like that, not gonna lie. This is all because of the different things that were displayed by Marco, Jozu, and Vista. So in today's video, I want to talk about the commanders. I want to gauge where they are or where they should be. There's like first, second, and third commanders in terms of strength. Some that are second commanders who have first commander potential or first commander level of strength. And there are also some crews that don't even do the commander system, specifically like the Strides. For example, Sanji, if he were to be a commander, he'd be second because he's behind Zoro and Zoro's the vice captain. However, I believe in terms of strength, Sanji's probably low first maybe. And so I want to talk about different things like that. But if you guys enjoy regular anime content, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. With that away, my name is Potential Unleashed, and let's talk about the commander. In the intro, I talked about the specific characters at Marineford and the fact that they displayed stuff, and they did a really good job during Marineford holding their own temporarily against these top tier characters, specifically Marco, Vista, and Jozu. They all had interesting matchups. Marco, he went against Kizaru, Jozu went against Aokiji, and Vista went against Mihawk. These three characters in Kizaru, Aokiji, and Mihawk are top tier level characters, meaning they are the pinnacle of strength in One Piece. The first matchup I want to talk about is Kizaru versus Marco. Marco, he dodged Kizaru's light beam attacks and he kicked him and sent him flying. Why is this important? Well, because if you look at the times, I mean, nowadays you wouldn't really, I guess, pay as much attention to it because One Piece has so many episodes, so with streaming and stuff like that, you can catch up just like that, right? But at the time, we had just got over Sabaody fairly recently. I mean, granted, there was Impel Down and then Marineford, but Sabaody Archipelago was fresh on our minds. We saw how strong Kizaru was and how much he outmatched the Straw Hats and the Supernova. Then we look at Marco, and he appeared to be able to keep up with a Kizaru level threat, an Admiral level threat with ease. So it showed that Marco was on a completely different level than the Supernovas and the Straw Hat. There were other great Marineford feats as well. There was Jozu, he ended up making Aokiji bleed. This wasn't the first time we seen an Admiral bleed. I believe that was when Rayleigh cut Kizaru at Sabaody, but it's one of the first times that we ever seen this in this series. He also blocked a slash attack from Mihawk that was targeted at Whitebeard. There was also Vista, how he went toe to toe temporarily. It was only a brief interaction against Mihawk. This is the first time that we had seen another swordsman cross blades with Mihawk and survive after a few hits. I mean, I know that they've talked about Shanks going against Mihawk, but we never actually saw it. It's only been referenced a few times throughout the series. Ben Beckman, now he's a little bit different than your typical commanders because yeah, he's the vice captain, he's Shanks' right hand man, so technically I guess you could say he'd be the first commander of the red hair pirates. He made Kizaru stop by pulling out a gun, and granted, Kizaru only stopped for a few seconds and he did whatever the fluff he wanted to do, but still, Ben Beckman, the reason why I said he's different because in terms of strength, he's been compared to being relative to Shanks, and Shanks is one of the strongest in the series, so that just shows how strong Beckman is. Then when you look at other things, yeah, the admirals, they were kind of holding their own, and the commanders, they were putting in work. But when the admirals got serious, when Whitebeard, he had a heart attack, in that split second of confusion, the admirals showed why they were as strong as they are and took advantage. Marco was shot. Jozu lost an arm. It just showed that, yeah, the commanders are strong. They're strong enough to compete, but they're not strong enough to overwhelm these admirals. Green Bull, he said it best. In Wano, he defeated King and Queen easily. He made a reference saying that because of his position of being an admiral, it would look bad if he ended up losing to pirate subordinates instead of the captains. Granted, when you look at King and Queen, they were weakened, they had bandages around them, and some people are going to argue that they weren't, but I believe they had sea prison cuffs on because people like Luffy, like Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, Yamato, all of them weren't there. If King and Queen are going to be prisoners, then the only people who could take them down are those that I just mentioned. And so for them not to have sea prison cuffs, they could just escape anytime, so it wouldn't make logical sense. But nevertheless, Green Bull defeated them with ease after we've seen these two characters struggle against them for so long. It just proves, hey, they're strong, but they're not strong enough. And I agree with this statement. There's characters who have 1 billion barony bounties. This is typically your commanders, and they are meant to hold their own, but not strong enough to defeat Yonkos and admirals. And why is this? Well, because if that were the case, every character would be Yonko caliber characters, and this is what makes specific crews beast or the best or the strongest crews that they have. Some examples include the Rocks Pirates. Although they were young, they had Rocks, they had Shiki, they had Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido. And Roger, he had Rayleigh, Odin, Scott Gabon. And he also had Shanks. I know Shanks was young, but we see how strong he is in the story now, so I just wanted to mention that. Now I want to talk a little bit about good moments versus top tier characters from the commanders. There was Queen. He knocked out Big Mom from Udon. This is impressive because we know how durable she is. Jinbei also knocked Big Mom off of the Thousand Sunny. Someone with a 38 million berry bounty versus a 4 billion berry bounty. Yonko at the time, that's what their bounties was, and he temporarily overpowered her in this moment. There's also during Wano, Kid and Law, they defeated Big Mom. I feel like I'm doing her dirty. I'm just specifically talking about her, but I guess that's because she and Kaido are the only two Yonkos that commanders really fought. There's also Luffy. He was the one who defeated Kaido. I know technically there's the whole thing about him losing, well, going against the Kaizen, going against the Supernova Yamato, all of that, but Luffy did end the fight with a decisive blow. There was Zoro versus Kaido. He used Ashura. They clashed. Zoro overpowered him in an instant, created an opening, cut him, and left a scar. There was Zoro versus Fujitora. How he used a slash attack, sent Fujitora back a little bit. Also, Marco, he clashed with Big Mom as well. Now, you can't just talk about the good and not talk about the bad, because there have had some bad moments from commanders as well. Katakuri, his first introduction, he was introduced to someone that has never lost in a fight. He was stronger, faster, and honestly better than Luffy in every single way in terms of fighting. When Luffy defeated him, Luffy had to level up. That's not a question. There was no doubt in that. But when he went against Kaido, Kaido humbled him. He got one-shotted. He also got knocked out by Kaido like 3, 4, maybe even 5 times during the entirety of the Wano arc. It showcased, hey, the commanders are good, but not good enough. And the same happened with Kid and Law, how they defeated Big Mom, and then the very next fights, they got completely defeated by Shanks and Kaido. They all had amazing victories, but then got humbled by top tier characters right afterwards. There are different moments where these commanders have fought 2-on-1 because, well, the circumstances needed them to do that. And we know that Queen and King are strong because in One Piece episode 1061, Sanji had to level up in order to get stronger, and Zoro's episode versus King will be animated, I believe, in the next few days. But these characters were holding off 2 characters with 1 billion berry bounties. Sanji, he was going 2-on-1 against King and Queen on the first floor. Marco did the same thing, keeping them at bay. Marco and Sanji, they talked about how fighting these level of characters, how difficult it is and how challenging it is. Now, personally, I think that they were holding back. I think you can, I'm specifically in this instance talking about King and Queen, but at the same time, I think you can make the argument for Marco and Sanji as well, because it's a warlike atmosphere and you need to maintain your strength as long as possible and maintain your stamina as long as possible, because you never know who or when you have to fight at the same time. But nevertheless, this feat is still impressive. There's also always battles of commanders versus commanders, and whenever that happens, if they're close together in terms of strength, it will always be an extreme diff fight. Luffy and Katakuri at Whole Cake Island, Sanji and Zoro versus King and Queen, we saw that animated recently, done beautifully by the way, had to mention that. And there are plenty of other examples that happen in the One Piece series. But yeah, these characters are in a difficult or a tricky spot. They're strong, but they also are people stronger than them. They've done some amazing things. They fight 2-on-1 or 1-on-2. They have amazing hockey, future sight. There's conquerors, advanced conquerors amongst some of these characters. They also have some broken and strong duffers, but they'll never surpass Yonkos and admirals, with a few exceptions. I'm not going to talk about those exceptions here, just want to mention that. And it's kind of like these characters, they're close to a breakthrough. They're on the cusp of getting there, and yet they can't seem to get over that hump in order to be in that upper echelon of the strongest. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it's fine. There's strength in hierarchy. If these characters were all on Yonko or Admiral levels, it'd be all over the place. However, we do have to give credit when credit is due. Let me know how you guys feel about commanders in the comment section below. Do you guys like them? Do you guys love them? Do you guys hate them? Do you guys think that they're overrated in terms of strength? Do you guys think they're underrated or properly rated? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.